hopefully, some of the themes that you've heard tonight are that I intend to make GPSA open, inclusive, and accessible. I have been committed over the past 2 years in my service with GPSA to serving students, keeping costs low, and ensuring that government is transparent. But what I want to do is just sort of highlight the way that I've done this over the past 2 years with grants as the grants chair. In particular, I have been inclusive because I heard from professional students that the ST grant used to be $300 and that was not fair, that wasn't enough money to travel on to further your professional career. So I increased that grant from $300 to $500. I've also held workshops all over campus, which is something that I've done to make grants inclusive. I've also made the grant system accessible. We created an online application system. So I already have the skill set to use technology to make sure that students have access to their government and their student fees. And I've also been open. People have come forward proposing changes to the bylaws that I disagreed with. And after a long conversation, I changed my mind. They were right. And we made those changes to the bylaws, and it's a better system now. And that, I think, speaks to my leadership style. Step one is always to listen hard and listen well to the arguments that are before you, because we're all talented people and we bring something to the table. After you listen, I think you build a team with the right skill sets to attack the problem. And finally, you have to apply a diverse approach to whatever issue is before you as graduate students, and stay the course and stay committed. I think that after 2 years, I've had plenty of opportunity to feel burnt out and sort of step back from problems that weren't able to be solved. And I don't feel burnt out. I began today by saying that I'm tired. And I have to tell you, I've been energized by the past 2 hours. I don't think it was the power bar. I think it's that I actually care about graduate and professional students and these issues. It's important to me to make sure that we have access to our education. So thank you very much for staying with us for these 2 hours, and I hope to see you at the polls online.
Patricia.
Thank you again to everyone who has dedicated the time to be here and to be engaged with us today. It is real important to note at this time, I got thrown off, I'm sorry. Can I start over again? I think that merits a new start.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hold on a second. I'll take advantage of my time. That was kind of like Katie's wake-up call on Saturday. That woke us all up. Okay, I'm going to go back. Thank you again, everybody, for taking the time to be here with us today. It's real important to note that I don't need a learning curve. I don't need any more experience. I have the experience to be able to walk in to the president position of GPSA and hit the road running. I've already been president of student organizations. I've already been a legislative assistant and aide, constituent aide. I've been a grant writer, and I brought in and raised actually $25 million over my career for community development projects. I've been able to raise over $400,000 just for New Mexico alone. It concerns me that we're struggling over pennies and dimes when it comes to the overall budget. I do have a plan, and my plan is to begin by instituting a permanent joint commission which will develop an annual common agenda with undergraduate students in all of the GPSA Council. I want to begin the process to restructure the funding categories that currently remove the recurring from those groups that currently hold that. I want to be able to continue to fight tuition increases, but there is a reason for that. We have to have transparency in the information that we get. So I would provide the administration through a committee, through a staff person, with an annual funds analysis and asset analysis so that we have direct input into that funding stream and that budget process. I want to be able to create and develop a permanent grants resource position which will identify additional funding sources so that we can leverage the money that we have. It's real important. I'm well connected in the state. I know the legislature. I'm well connected with the nation. I can pool the resources necessary to be able to empower our GPSA, to be able then to empower all of our graduate and professional students to be able to access, attain, and receive the opportunities that they deserve. Thank you.
Jacob.
Thank all of you for sticking with us for these 2 hours, and to Jose, who's sort of the 5th candidate in this election. He's been with us throughout this entire process. You know, at the end of the day, I'm in this race because I care about the cost of attendance and the debt load that people are leaving this university with. I care because I don't like seeing my state exporting its talent to other states. I'm in this race because I don't think this university is living up to its responsibility to its 4-year research institutions to adequately support the research activity that goes on at this university every day and that brings hundreds of millions of dollars into the state of New Mexico. I'm in this race because I want to do something about it. And I've tried to outline for you today what my ideas look like. And if you leave here with one thing about me, know this. I'm the one candidate in this race who has the critical experience in Santa Fe to actually move us forward, to actually engage people at the state level in a discussion about how this state needs to step up and take the lead on developing a comprehensive tuition policy that controls the cost of attendance for its graduate and undergraduate students. And I'm the only candidate in this race with the critical relationships necessary in Santa Fe and across the state to finally engage the state in a discussion about how we are going to adequately and consistently support research activities for our graduate students. Now, the rest of these questions about transparency and collaboration are questions of leadership. And I guarantee you that my style of leadership is one that is focused on solving the problems. I'll bring whoever I need to bring to the table, and I'll engage them however I need to make sure that we work together to solve the problems that continue to face us year after year. If you're ready for something different, and you're ready for a new face, and you're ready for a different take at the same old problems, I'm your candidate, and I'd be honored by your vote and your support in the upcoming election. Thank you.
And finally, Joseph.
When it comes down to it, this is about the university to me. I have spent 6 years here. I've been involved for 6 years, and I truly want what's best for the university. And I've seen what happens when students get together and do a good job at something, and I can see what happens when students are empowered by an organization. And I really want what's best for the university, and I want what's best for GPSA. And I would have to agree with Jacob that this does have a lot to do with leadership. But I would have to disagree that it starts at the state level. I think it starts at the university level, and I think specifically it starts within GPSA. And I feel that GPSA needs a leader who's willing to work to create a stronger organization as a foundation, to build upon a strong student voice that represents all of students, not just a small group, but the entire university, the entire population of professional and graduate students at UNM. Only then can we work with the administration and with other groups inside the university to make an actual difference for graduate and professional students. Then we can reach outside of the borders of the university and with that strong voice, be an advocate at the legislature and around the rest of the state. Also, I think that the biggest difference with what I'm proposing, that there is a big difference between words. I think somebody saying something and somebody that wants to be inclusive and wants to be representative and wants to be fair is one thing, but I feel that I have an actual plan set out to make sure that GPSA stays a strong organization and is created into a stronger organization. And that's one of my biggest focuses. I feel like the organization of GPSA is broken down, and I feel that we must build it back up, and it must be a strong organization for students, and I feel that that is absolutely vital, and I don't think that GPSA can move forward without restructuring the organization to make it as a voice for all of students. And I feel that that starts with the GPSA Council, but it's absolutely 100% necessary to have a president who respects the organization as a whole, and that's why I'm running.
Thank you, Joseph. Well, that concludes tonight's debate. I'd like to first off thank the audience for the questions, the GPSA Council for letting New Mexico PERG moderate the debate, and let's give a round of applause for our candidates.